the tone, and dictated what players could be and what they could earn. But the moment Stephen A. Smith dropped that bombshell on live television, the narrative slipped out of their hands. The rumor didn't feel like speculation. It felt like a warning shot from a rival empire preparing to rewrite the future of women's basketball with a single signature. The tension hanging over the league now is unlike anything it has ever experienced. When one player becomes the lifeline of your entire business model, every decision they make becomes a potential earthquake. What makes the situation even more catastrophic is that the league knows exactly how vast of a cultural shift, the spark that brought millions of new fans into the women's game. Before she arrived, the WNBA was growing slowly, fighting for scraps of coverage, and struggling to find a foothold in mainstream sports. After Clark stepped into the league, everything changed instantly. Game tickets that once sold for $20 now disappeared within minutes. National broadcasts that once felt optional suddenly dominated primetime slots. Kids showed up in arenas wearing her jersey, chanting her name, begging for a glimpse of the player who resurrected an entire industry. Her rise was so immediate and so overwhelming that she became the gravitational center of the league's future. And that is why the thought of her leaving is more terrifying to the WNBA than any competitor they have ever faced. This isn't the PGA Tour fighting to keep a handful of aging legends. This is a league fighting to keep the one star who can determine whether it soars or collapses. The Saudis know that. They recognize the leverage. They understand the power of timing. And they have built an entire playbook around acquiring undervalued superstars who are trapped inside restrictive leagues. The moment Caitlin Clark stepped into the WNBA system that limited her earnings, restricted her travel, and exposed her to physical targeting with minimal protection, she became the perfect candidate for a rival takeover. Every sign points toward a brewing revolution behind closed doors. The biggest one is the shift in tone from the players themselves. Veteran stars who once refused to acknowledge Clark's impact suddenly changed their messaging. Some began praising her publicly. Others softened their once aggressive comments. Even those who dismissed her hype now talk about how important she is to the league's visibility. The fear is obvious. They understand the consequences of a future without her. They understand that if she leaves, the money leaves with her. And they understand that the league's next broadcast deal could collapse into dust without the star power she brings effortlessly. The panic inside boardrooms is even worse. Executives know that the WNBA's entire pitch to networks relies on Clark. Attendance numbers rise because of Clark. Merchandising spikes because of Clark. Television deals expand because of Clark. Investors show interest because of Clark. Losing her would not simply hurt revenue. It would decimate the league's value. The Saudis see that pressure. They know the WNBA cannot match their money. They know they can dangle generational wealth while the league offers charter flights as if they are luxury perks instead of basic necessities. The imbalance is staggering. And every day that Clark remains silent, the threat grows larger. What makes this moment even more surreal is how perfectly it mirrors the collapse of other long-standing sports institutions. LIV Golf didn't destroy the PGA Tour because the PGA lacked talent. They destroyed it because they targeted the players who felt ignored, underpaid, and undervalued. They offered them the one thing the old system refused to give: power. Now that same strategy is approaching women's basketball with frightening precision. Caitlin Clark would not simply be signing a contract. She would be signing ownership, equity, freedom, and global influence. She would instantly become one of the most important athletes on the planet. No salary cap. No veterans policing her spotlight. No governing body limiting her opportunities. Just pure, unrestrained stardom backed by unlimited funding. Even more troubling for the WNBA is that Clark no longer stands alone in this situation. Sophie Cunningham's involvement signals something bigger. She brings fire, personality, and the ability to ignite fan engagement in ways algorithms can track instantly. She is the spark plug to Clark's global flame. The Saudis understand that a league built around two women who carry both the highlights and the personality can explode in popularity on day one. They are not building a traditional league. They are building a spectacle. Ann Clark's charisma paired with Sophie's energy is a combination the WNBA cannot recreate. Meanwhile, inside the WNBA locker rooms, the silence says everything. No one is denying the rumor. No one is confronting it. No one is even trying to reassure fans. Instead, players and executives alike are simply watching, waiting, and hoping the deal never becomes official. But hope is not a strategy. And silence is not protection. The Saudis have already proven they can dismantle institutions with a single financial move. If they truly place $1 billion on the table for Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham, the WNBA may not survive the fallout. Every day that passes without a denial is another day the rumor grows stronger. Another day the league loses leverage. Another day fans begin imagining a world where Clark plays against the best players in the world on a global stage with unlimited resources. Another day where comparisons shift from what the WNBA is to what the new league could be. And once that imagination takes hold, it becomes nearly impossible to bring the audience back. The truth is simple. The WNBA had one job: protect its superstar. It failed. Now the consequences are unfolding in real time. The greatest rookie the league has ever seen is to evolve. And how do you think current players would react if Clark and Sophie Cunningham